We're at the championship event for the AWA Whitetail Pro Series, headquartered at Kansas Big Buck Outfitters.
This is southeast Kansas. We got a little over 10,000 acres. We don't shoot nothing if it ain't 130 or bigger. If a guy shoot one under 130, we fine him. We try to grow big whitetails, and the only way you can do it, you gotta let them grow and get to a certain age.
Typically, outfitters give helpful tips about the property and location of deer activity. But for this competition, the outfitters' hands are tied. No hints can be given. The hunters are on their own.
Well, if I'm gonna say something, it's okay, but just say it in front of all of them. The weather conditions is not helping none, no way. But I tell people, welcome to Kansas.
It's the first week in January, and the area has been hit with a blizzard, suggesting record numbers. With no sign of the snow letting up, this will only add to the 3-foot snow drifts already in place. And to make matters worse, bitter winds are ripping across these Kansas plains. These are brutal conditions for this time of year. So brutal, in fact, that this storm was nationally recognized as Winter Storm Ion, which resulted in grounding many airplanes across the U.S. Due to the inclement weather, Carson, Chad, and Jason weren't able to make the trip, but Robert was eager to take Carson's place. It's Scouting Day, and for the finalists arriving from Missouri, this will be nothing new. But the hunters from South Carolina should be in for a treat.
Looks like the wind's blowing about 25 miles an hour across that road. I'd say you got near blizzard conditions. Visibility's about maybe 500, 600 yards.
I think the cold weather, some of the coldest weather in 20 years to hit this part of Kansas is coming in. We get this blind set up. It's about 12 degrees, wind chill is well below zero, wind blowing about 25 miles an hour.
Really like the setup. Just trying to clear a few limbs so I can make sure I've got a shot in each direction. I really like in these temperatures and how dangerous these conditions are, how the cedar really protects me inside of there. It's got to be 15 degrees warmer inside of this cedar. It's picking up pretty strong.
The amount of snowfall has made it difficult for a few of the hunters to get around in their vehicles. Some have decided to pair up and scout together, while others head out on their own. For the championship, the hunters are given 2 days to scout and 2 days to hunt. They will receive 4 blank rounds for each hunting day. Some competitors will also receive bonus shells and time advantages based on their seeding from the previous qualifying events. After the second day of hunting, 2 of the competitors will be sent home. The top 4 will advance to the third and final day of hunting.
Yeah, when you get real frigid temperatures like this and they're below normal, normally the deer's going to go to the grains. Brandon Cartwright and I, we've got a bean stubble field that didn't make, and they went in there and tried to harvest what they could, but they wasted most of it, and it's on the ground.
After looking over his maps, Robert arrives at his destination amidst the snow-covered terrain.
We're expecting a wind chill of somewhere around minus 25 degrees. So part of the strategy is going to be able to stay actually in the woods and hunt. And I got a heater here, so this is part of my strategy. Make sure I'm going to be able to withstand the temperatures. And as long as I got the wind right, I'm not concerned about the smell.
During these harsh conditions, deer will access the easiest food source available. A quick scrape of the ground reveals some bad news.
I thought we had an established food plot in here, but apparently it didn't make, so raked the snow back, didn't find much. I was hoping to find some dug up turnips and some rashes been pulled out of the ground, but I don't see it, so I'm gonna keep moving, keep looking.
A little later in the day, Doug and Ryan decide to head out to survey the locations they picked out from the maps.
Man, north wind is kicking. I'm gonna slip in here and try to locate one of my stands. Doug's gonna roll up to one of his up north, check that out. So hopefully you'll see me again. If not, I'll be out here somewhere frozen. Later.
Due to weather conditions, the competitors scouted the property from their vehicles. then took turns picking their locations from a map based on their seedings from the qualifying events. Because of this, the potential of spooking the deer has been greatly reduced. Now that their spots have been picked, they can go in for a closer look.
I think it's a good looking area. I think that other stand will be just fine. It sits down on the main part of the draw. We've already picked them, so I'm stuck with it. Make the best of it.
The two champs from the previous qualifying events have teamed up to check out their locations. After dropping John off at his first location, Brandon heads to his spot to get a better feel of the landscape.
Conditions here, the way the land's broke up, we picked a few spots out, and we picked them out on the map before we started all this. But while we was talking about it, I seen this spot. It's one of the thickest spots in this whole mile section, and I just knew these deer are really going to come here for the shelter in this weather. Well, while I was talking about it, there were some things said, and Robert ended up scratching one of his spots out and picking this spot right on top of me. And we had agreed earlier that we were going to be far enough apart, but I just found out at lunch he moved in closer to me, and I'm going to make sure he's not going to mess me up. I mean, this is game. I got real aggressive in Missouri, and me and Andy got into a little bit of beef about me being too aggressive.
This is a gentleman's sport. This ain't a f***ing motorcycle race where you cut people off and shit, dude. I wouldn't have done that to you, man.
I'm eating my crow now. Somebody's being aggressive with me, and I don't like it.
Well, we're here in Kansas for the AWA finals. Folks, you can see, I can't know if you can tell if the wind's blowing. This place blowing 25 miles an hour behind me. The weather is just terrible. I mean, you can't scout in this kind of conditions. You know, this competition is going to be tough to begin with because it's late season. Another factor, the major factor, is the weather conditions. I mean, it's just blowing snow. It's supposed to be -1 in the morning. It's just going to be rough, tough. I think the person that can battle the elements is probably going to be the one to persevere in this finals and probably pull it out. We'll just have to see what happens.
Today, me and John, you know, teamed up truck. His truck couldn't handle the snow, so I said, man, jump in the truck with us. We'll go drive around. We'll go look at your spots, and I got plenty of time to look at our spots because we've already picked them on the map. A lot of guys are targeting these blinds that are out here just to be able to stay warm and sit long enough. Right there's my blind. Robert and I had an agreement. He's going to stay on this other side, but he's moved into this one hedgerow, basically, that's right on the edge of the field I'm on. And I didn't know Robert's going to pinch me off like this. I'm ready to go see what Robert's doing real quick.
Brandon and I are kind of working together, so to speak. I mean, we're competing against each other, but we're also working with each other. We're hunting pretty close. I've got another piece of property, another stand location that I'm hunting just right down the road. I got here yesterday morning at 11 o'clock thinking we got 2 days of scout. You know, 5 of the competitors were already here, and we're out with the landowner looking at the, you know, at the different properties that he owns. And when they got back in, you know, they told us, hey, you got to come to the bunkhouse. You got to pick your spots now. You know, rules are rules. I thought it was a disadvantage to me. I'd never even seen the property, you know, and I had to pick my 3 spots. All the other guys had seen the land and the layout. Brandon, don't get too upset with me. The reason I chose my first spot, because it's the spot you chose. And I figured you won the regional, you knew what you were doing, so I chose it with you, brother.
Yeah, there's Robert's blind set up right there. You can see my stand from his spot. I mean, he's within the 100-yard rule. We can be within 100 yards of another competitor, so he's within the rules. Sucks. I mean, it's a good spot. Anytime you find a good spot, other hunters are going to find it. Just going to have to deal with it. That's how this competition works.
Now that Brandon's aware of Robert's close proximity, he decides to head back to rendezvous with John.
How bad's he screwing you?
Man, I don't know. As long as this wind keeps staying north, it'll be fine. I can't cover both those fields anyway, really, but he's still, that was going to be a kind of a plan B, to where if I knew he was going to pull that, I'd have popped the blind up there too, just to protect it a little bit.
Yeah. You think he's doing it on purpose?
Nah, there's no way to know that.
I think they are. That's what I think. You know, I think, you know, you've been hunting 50 years old, you've been hunting your whole life. You gotta respect and appreciate other hunters. I realize everybody wants to win. I mean, I want to win as bad as anybody else, but I'm gonna respect another hunter and give him his distance he needs to be able to be successful, you know, out here.
Yeah.
You don't just come in and cut somebody off. I mean, that's just chicken shit, you ask me.
Chicken dude.
Chicken?
Yeah, it is.
How's that chicken? I mean, in Missouri, me and Andy got in it over a spot, which I never hunted the spot, but I put a setup in there and left it. But I'm kind of eating crow on this deal.
Brandon, all I can tell you, brother, is I'll work with you. We'll look at things together, but it's competition. And tomorrow morning when it starts, I'm gunning for you, son. Game on in the morning.
The scouting days are finished, and the hunters prepare for more frigid temperatures in the morning.
6:20 in the morning, heading to our stand. Legal shooting light for us is 7:04. It's about 4 below right now, and the wind chill is much, much greater than that.
As the competitors get settled in, the first day of hunting in the championship has begun. This weather has a good chance of restricting deer movement. But despite this, the hunters head out early, hoping to catch the deer moving toward food sources.
Right now, I'm just hoping them deer hunkered down when it got really cold last night. And after the sun gets up, they'll maybe get back up and try to feed a little bit.
Well, we just got to the stand. It's about 9:30, 9:40. Temperature was -9 this morning. The wind chill -20 something. As the temperature is supposed to rise about 10 degrees. I feel like if the deer are going to move, they're going to move, 10 to, 1:30 today. I think the activity's going to start this afternoon.
As he patiently waits, he spots something behind the brush. But as quickly as it appears, it disappears even quicker.
I'm going to put a shell in and we're going to make something happen.
Ryan sees several deer cutting across the ridge in the distance. Points are crucial at this stage of the game, but with the deer being so far away, it's a risky shot.
I could have pulled the trigger a couple times, but honestly, it was a really far shot. And the last thing I want to do in a competition like this is to miss or to wound one. I don't have any extra shells. So every point counts, and in fact, I'm not going to shoot a single deer unless it's broadside. I need the extra points.
After the morning hunt, the competitors head back out for the second half of the hunting day. John's truck still won't make it to where he needs to go, but Brandon's truck is more than capable.
Let me tell you how my day started. Get John to his spot, walk back to my spot, getting there about an hour late and there's already deer in it. I jump them out. Sure enough, they run straight towards John.
One thing about it this morning, Brandon was on the east side. I was on the west side of this property. It's a big wood thicket. Brandon went in this morning and jumped a bunch of deer up. I seen those deer.
Boom! I don't know if they're the same deer or not for sure, but I had a good feeling that I just ran deer to John. He shot 2 doe. The straw that broke the camel's back, we pull up there and I'm stopping to do an interview. John's in the passenger seat, cameraman's in the back seat. I'm getting out, getting my mic on, getting all prettied up for the camera. Sitting there, and all of a sudden I hear John, "Oh, deer!" He jumps out, and this shows the competitor in all of us.
Serious?
Jumps out, went straight to instinct mode, goes out, stalking on his deer, and gets on the fence post. I'm sitting there like, really? Really? This really about to freaking happen?
Man, this is horse.
Dressed up for an interview. Next thing I know, my cameraman's bailing out of the truck to film John hunting this deer, and now they're going running down the road. I'm sitting there next to my truck. I'm like, oh, this ain't happening. This is not happening.
Kidding me? They will both shoot.
AWA rules allow for multiple hunters to shoot the same deer, so Brandon immediately gets his gun.
He got bent out of shape pretty quick. I told him, I said, shoot, you shoot it, I shoot it. Every deer's points, and I'm trying to score points here. I don't care if you're playing baseball, football. Whoever scores the most points is going to win. That's the name of the game.
After all that, the doe jumps the fence and is too far away for either hunter to capitalize.
When the pressure's on, how they handle the pressure. I'm going to pressure these guys and make them do things they don't want to do, and just play the game, and see who comes out on top.
Near Robert's setup, the deer are starting to move. It's a small buck that steps out behind some trees. As cold as it's been, this is a rare opportunity to get some good points. But as he prepares for his shot, the batteries that powered the digital scope were dead, and the buck slips away.
We had a young buck come down the ridge and I had a malfunction with the scope. And we couldn't take the shot. But we got it working again. And I believe we'll have some more deer come through here. We're sitting on a pretty good place. You hate to miss an opportunity, especially at the championship, because everybody that's here is really good. And that deer could cost you the championship. Every opportunity is precious right now.
Dennis has been eyeing a monster buck all afternoon.
There he is. Look how huge he is.
But it's not coming out from the brush. Time is winding down and he sees some does that will give him good points heading into day 2. He's able to take 2 quick shots. He checks the area where he earlier saw the massive buck, but there's no sign. The does haven't left the area, so he decides to use his remaining shells for them. Day 1 of hunting is almost over. It's been a tough first day for the competitors. Some have had better luck than others. A game of cat and mouse has ensued between Robert and a pack of does. Once he's able to take the shot, he notices another doe at the edge of the thick brush. As he waits for a clear shot, the doe runs back into cover.
That brush is pretty thick. Here she comes, here she comes, here she comes.
The doe finally comes out into the open, but then moves behind the brush again. He decides they've had enough fun with him for one day.
That's 2. I was on that one good.
His patience has finally paid off.
We sat here all day long, and I was pretty well guessing I was going to go back to the lodge with all 5 shells, no points. About 20 minutes before the end of shooting time, we had 4 does come out. They were 250, 300 yards, and thought, man, this will be my only chance to get a shot. Just as we shot, we looked back down to the right, and about 15 deer had come out while we were getting set up on these does. Oh, dude, look. Couldn't believe I didn't see him come in. I was kicking myself, and as those ran off, 4 more bucks came in from the right and came out to the feeder. I ended up getting a shot at all 4 bucks. After we'd shoot, they would just sit there. I've always felt like that when you shoot a deer and you hit a deer and that deer runs, it causes the other deer to run. So when you shoot like that and no deer gets impacted, they don't hear that bullet impacting the deer right there by them. They're not quite as skittish to run off, and that allowed us to actually shoot 3, and they left. And then after they left, 1 more came back in, and it doesn't get any better than that.
As another sun sets on competition, it's time for the hunters to head back to the lodge and prepare for day 2. It's the last day of hunting before the elimination. Since the hunters don't know each other's scores, they're aware it could be anybody's game. Some head back to familiar spots, and others plan on switching it up for better results.
Last day before cuts, so today's crucial for everybody. I got 1 trigger pull yesterday. I saw 19 deer total. It was kind of a discouraging day at the same time.
Yesterday, Doug had to wait all day before the deer began to move at his location. This morning, however, the only thing he's waiting on is to get a clean shot on one of the many does slipping across his path.
And I got on that first one, then she moved. I hope I got the button pushed and the trigger pulled in time.
Robert heads to the ground blind he previously set up near Brandon. Being this close to another competitor can have both good and bad consequences. But due to the evidence from his trail camera, this location is too good to pass up.
You know, I do have trail cam pictures of 8 deer going in this cedar thicket, and they're all bucks. We're kind of betting, making the final day on this assumption.
Next time on the season finale of the AWA Whitetail Pro Series.
One of you is about to be named AWA Whitetail Pro Series champion.
2 will be sent home. 4 will advance. And 1 will be crowned champion.
And the winner of the 2014 AWA Whitetail Pro Series
For more information about the Whitetail Pro Series or to become a member, visit awapro.com.